Hi there, Ronnie here, coming at you with a video. Um, it's been a while since I did an RPG video. Uh, Apologies for that. Just other things have been going on. Um, I'm currently in a playtest uh, that my friend Jason is currently writing a campaign for Call of Cthulhu, and I am part of the second playtest. Um, there will be more, which is why I'm not saying final playtest. There will be more as he sort of streamlines and kind of hews the takes out all the rough edges of the scenario and gets it running. We've had one session so far. It's been very good. It's being done live on Pair of Geeks 2, so check it out. But a conversation happened after the session ended, because we were having a sort of post-session conversation. And we were talking about one particular moment, which I won't give any details of, because I want people to either watch and see this or in the fullness of time buy the campaign. And it was something that came up. It was an example of the thing that is the biggest bugbear for GMs: the info dump. That moment where a piece of lore or a piece of history, a whole big chunk of information has to be given to the players. And when you are dealing with a game like Cthulhu, and it's not the only example, any sort of game that involves investigation and trying to find clues and figuring out what's going on, always will have these moments where you're getting this information and trying to find information invariably leads to some sort of info dump, and it is the biggest bane of any GM. And the bane is not giving the information. The bane is how to do it in a way that feels natural, that doesn't just feel like an extreme chunk of exposition. And we felt that the way it was being done in that first session was actually a really good version of it. Essentially, there was this kid who was very enthusiastic because he was really into sort of legends and lore and ghosts and things like that. So he was enthusiastic about telling us about the history of the place. And that was great because it was a natural way for information to come to us through character without sounding like, and now we'd like to pause the scenario so that we can enjoy 10 to 15 minutes of a GM giving you an info dump. As someone who has ran Call of Cthulhu games over my decades, and any scenario actually that involves a lore dump, I find having to do large chunks of exposition and the info dump is the bit I dread, because you walk that tight line between the information the players need and boring the crap out of them. It's always difficult. There's no easy answer. For me, the only answer is to try and find a way of presenting that information in a natural way. Now, sometimes that means writing it all down as a big text dump and handing that text dump to the players. It's clunky. It means the players are doing an awful lot of reading, but it can work and it can feel very natural. Cthulhu especially is good for that. Or you can do it in the sense of getting the important information through diary entries, so that the entries are easily digestible chunks. And again, you can hand that off without having to read them. It's slightly different if you are doing the game online, especially if you're doing it live, where the GM feels a compulsion, understandably, so that the audience aren't going, what the hell, to read out some of this. Whereas if you're just doing it round table or so on, or when you're not doing it live, you can easily just give the information in text form. But the real struggle is dialogue. If you're giving information over in terms of dialogue. Now, there are ways to do it. Murder mysteries are very good at getting information off by way of the Q&A. The investigator asking pertinent questions and getting the information. Yes, it's info dumping, but it's building up a picture as well of the clues, and that works. Or, as happened on the Monday there, you've got an enthusiastic person willing to give you the information, which worked very well. Something I hate in films is when two people who clearly know each other, or characters that know each other and have known each other for decades, and one of them will turn around and say, "Hey, you remember that time when we were in New York?" And they go through this whole thing. They talk about the entire event. And it's not for the benefit of either of those characters. It's an info dump for the viewer. It's exposition. It has no purpose other than to give you information. And it's important in RPGs that you don't do that. That whenever you have to give a chunk of information, it has to be in a way that works. And it's the same for players as well. If you've got players who have detailed backstories, and those players want to discuss those backstories, then for God's sake, make it part of normal conversation. Don't, have one of the players turn around and say, "I must tell you about my abusive childhood where I was actually a prince," and you're like, yeah, this isn't natural conversation, guys. This is just information being vomited out. Do it naturally. find a way where such a conversation happens normally, rather than saying, trying to shoehorn a background in or shoehorn information in, because it's never fun, it's never good, it always comes off as clunky if it's done wrong. But when it's done right, and as I say, I think it was done right on the Monday there, it can work really well. The information comes across in a natural way. It can build the tension, particularly in something like Cthulhu where you're relying on tension. And it helps explore the storyline more without feeling like, here, spewing info. Don't do it, guys. Find creative, natural ways to get information across. It'll make your games better. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll be back soon with another video.